What do I miss about living in the United States? Well, that's multi-layered, but the United States is my home. I was born and raised right outside of Chicago in a town called Maywood, Illinois, and this will always be my home. You know, just because you have challenges in your home doesn't mean that you don't love it, because people that are coming from other countries, they have challenges in their home and they ride for their country. They ride for their city, their state, and there's pride. There's a sense of pride when you are connected to your home. There's certain things, certain smells, certain flowers, certain birds. The first thing I missed were the robins, because you know they have more tropical birds in Merida, the area that I live in, but I really miss the song of the robin singing in the morning. That may seem like something simple, but when you haven't heard it for years or for months, you know, you get used to you don't realize how much you've gotten used to hearing those sounds, and it was part of your upbringing, your childhood. It's part of you being, you know, a United States citizen. It's part of your home. But I do miss some foods or some things that I can't find in Merida or in Mexico. I couldn't find collard greens or mustard greens or turnip greens, so I had to make do with a plant called chaya. Actually, chaya is a tree, and you get the chaya leaves, but if you doctor them up and you can boil them and add, you know, your herbs and your ingredients and your smoked meat just like greens, you never know that it's not collard greens, and I've been able to make it work. You know, so you can love two places. Just because I love one place don't mean I have to give up the love for half or another. The United States will always be my home. I love that blue passport. It has afforded me a lot of privileges, and I come back here as often as I need to. Once again, this is my personal experience. I love the people of Mexico. I haven't had any issues, no feelings of go back home or you don't belong here, or you know people feeling a certain kind of way because you're in their city. Now, I will say that being an expat comes with its challenges, because you are coming there with other people who have already flooded the marketplace, particularly the rental marketplace, and driving up cost. So there is some pushback and have been some protests because of the feelings of individuals coming into their space, driving up cost. So you have to understand that the way of life and the cost of living is very different there than here. Whereas here you may make between $15 and $20 per hour, they make $15 per day. So the economy is very different. So as expats move throughout the country, you're driving up the rental cost, the real estate cost, and it can make it very challenging for the people who already live there. So my recommendation is you have to find balance and harmony and live within the structure so that you can live peaceably with the locals there, because they are the citizens and we are the guests. So I always say live in harmony and at peace, if at all possible. Find ways where you can give back, find ways where you can just talk to local real estate agents or developers, or even people in your local community, people that are U.S. Citizens, expats, that have created community there, so you can get the information that you need on how to live harmoniously. And then, you know, build relationships with the people in the local community, and they can give you, you know, their honest opinion and feedback on how it feels to have your neighborhood encroached on, and how it feels to be priced out of the market. I always want to be sensitive about that. I always want to be sensitive about not just encroaching on someone else's space, but the environment, not upsetting the balance of the ecosystem, because it's all connected. And having those relationships and building those relationships with the locals and people who have lived there, they can give you insight, and they'll be very honest with you about how to proceed and how to live in union and with harmony with nature, with the people, and in the culture. great question. So I get that a lot in my inbox. I actually teach people how to make money while they live abroad. I am a virtual assistant. So I started my career as an executive assistant over 30 years ago in the corporate sector. And what I simply do is utilize those skills and just transfer them to the virtual space. And I've been doing that for the past 4 years. And I also teach people how to do it. If you have administrative skills, if you have experience in the corporate sector supporting, multi-level executives, senior leadership teams, CEOs, boards, you can thrive in the virtual space. Even if you have a customer service experience, maybe experience in the medical field where they need a medical assistant, I teach people how to navigate the world of virtual assistants. And it's not as difficult as you think. Yes, there are some strong skills that you need, and we are kind of moving to a space where it's not just virtual assistant and the client, but it's becoming a hybrid situation where, using AI is becoming part of the assistant hybrid space. So I always say, learn as much as you can, develop new skills, learn new skills, tangible skills. Do you know how to sew? Do you paint? Do you know how to fix things? Some of these skills will come in handy, because once you go to Mexico, you're not going to be allowed, for the most part, unless you have a special visa to work, unless you have a work visa. And with work visas, sometimes those are challenging to get, because in order for you to be approved for a work visa, you have to have some type of specialized skills that they can't already find in their own country. So if you aren't applying for a work visa, I recommend seeing how you can utilize the skills that you have in a virtual space. There are so many work from home opportunities. You can explore those. And I just think the more skills you have, the better it is for you. Then you will have a long-term relationship living in your new home. The last thing you want to do is move to a new country and either deplete all of your funds, or you don't have a steady stream of income. First of all, you have to prove financial solvency before you can get there, before they'll approve you coming. But second of all, how do you maintain it? And those are the questions you want to ask, because again, there are certain expenses. There are housing expenses, whether you do transportation, will you be taking the bus, ride sharing, will you have your own car, which sometimes can cost $500+ a month just to rent or lease. And then gasoline is a bit more expensive in that country, so you want to consider that. And then food, where you're going to shop, just how you're going to maintain your everyday lifestyle. And then emergencies as they come up, going to the doctor, appointments, the dentist, and even some of the little frou-frou things you may want to do, like going out to eat or getting your hair and nails done, going to the spa, getting a massage. So those are some of the things you want to think about, and how you support yourself and how you earn money will make a difference. Now, if you are interested in becoming a virtual assistant, or you're just curious, I will drop the link below and in the description box, and you can take a free assessment to see where you land and if you have the skills that are necessary to operate as a virtual assistant. And you can, one more thing is, if you are a teacher, you also can consider teaching abroad. And I'll try to find the link, because I'm not proficient in that area, but I do know people who are. So once I gather that information, I'll be sure to drop it in the description box below. Well, there were a lot of challenges for me, and I would expect that from anyone moving to a new country. Anyone that moves from their home country to another country, there are a lot of adjustments. And for me, when I first got there, you kind of think of it as in terms of a tourist. And then after a while, you realize that you're no longer a tourist, and you have to navigate everyday life, like going to the store, finding the ride sharing service. Do I need to rent a car? finding housing, how much can I afford to spend, why are gas prices so high in Mexico, or how to go to the bank, how to open up a bank account, what is an RFC, why do I need an RFC to open up a bank account, what is a CURP number, how do I apply for residency, how do I extend my residency, if my passport expires, how do I renew it? So those are some of the things that that came up and were challenges for me because I had to learn how to navigate it. And then the language barrier. If you don't speak Spanish, and I'm not fluent, but I do speak enough to kind of navigate the everyday, that can be a challenge because some people really don't want to speak the language because they feel, not because they don't desire to do it, because sometimes it just seems overwhelming and challenging, and some people are like, well, I'm 60, 70, 80 years old, there's no need for me to learn at this point. But for me, I just felt that it was necessary excuse me. For me, I just felt it was necessary to learn the language because learning the language actually helps you become in community with the people who are living there. You get to navigate it, and people are so very open to assisting and helping you. A lot of people won't speak it even though they're taking all of these classes. They've taken classes for months or for years and won't attempt to speak it because they feel like they sound like a baby or sound like a toddler, and it's okay because we all had to learn. But I can tell you that my Spanish has improved since going to Mexico because there are certain things I hear every day, and you learn based on repetition, just like babies do. We didn't come here learning English. For those of us born in the English-speaking part of the world, we learn through repetitions. We didn't learn how to conjugate verbs or what nouns were. We actually learned by hearing our first teachers, our parents, or the people who were in our community or in our circle. That's where we learn from. So it's the same process. So as I speak it and become more confident at speaking Spanish, what I find is people are more open to talking and communicating with you. You don't have to pull out your translator, although that is an option. But speaking it, just for me, I noticed it had opened up new pathways in my brain, and I can adapt and I can learn other things more quickly because I am learning a new language. And so once you navigate those everyday things and understanding like where you live, what are colonias, what colonia do I live in, how do I get to the doctor, how do I make an appointment for my annual exam, can I find a dentist here, how do I find out which one is right for me? You get to learn those things when you're in it, as opposed to being a tourist. Tourists are just passing through. And I think people look at other countries through the eyes of a tourist, but that's not the reality. Once you live everyday life, you realize, okay, vivo aquí, I live here. So you have to navigate it. And I think the more comfortable you are and the more you go out and explore, you go to the botanic gardens, or you go to the zoo, or you go to those the parks, or you go to the festivals and some of the public events they have, you go to the local mercados and meet the people that are there. I think you have a better appreciation for what the country, your state, your city, your local community has to offer. Creating community, as far as I know, is the most important thing. For me, it's so important to create community before you come to the country and then after you get there. The ones that you meet and are in community with before you get there, that'll help that soft landing that you need once you arrive in your new country. But once you get there, then connecting with the locals, they will help ground you while you're there, and even the expats as well. So you want to have the best of both worlds. You want to have relationships with the expats or people who look like you or you have familiarity with, that you have things in common with, but you also want to connect with people in the local community who can help you with the transition. And to me, that is pivotal, and there's nothing like it.